So it's important to check your needle. If your needle is wavy like this, it means you have a bad needle and you want to put a fresh needle in. Okay, so first step to adjust the timing is first you want to pop this cover off. So just push up on it, move it to the side. Second step, you want to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, you want to remove these 4 screws as well. You want to turn the machine on the left side. Right. Now, from this point, you want to first home position the machine. Once you've turned the machine on in home position, you want to also remove your bobbin case. So you want to remove the bobbin case, just open here and pull straight out. Right. Once you've done that, go back to the screen. You want to hit next. You want to hit move. And your plus or minus Q is to rotate your head forward and back. So you want to get it, first you want to start with just kind of a straight angle so where it's kind of facing you. And then you want to hit this button here to drop your needle. All right, that'll also drop your presser foot. So if you look from the bottom here, at your lowest position, which is if you turn your hand wheel on the top, here on the right, you rotate it until you get your needle down to the lowest position. What I mean by lowest position is right there, to where it's not going up and not going down. It's kind of in that neutral position, right? So right in there. So at this point, you want to make sure that the eye of the needle is showing about a little over half of the eye of the needle. So 3/4 to half of the eye of the needle should be showing up underneath this plate, right? If your needle is here, then you need to drop your needle bar. Or if it's too low, you'll need to bring it up, right? In this case, our needle is in perfect position, so we don't need to do anything. This should be exactly what you should be seeing at the lowest point here, right? Now, the next video will show you how to adjust your needle bar if your needle bar is not adjusted properly. So to change your needle position height, you want to remove these screws. To loosen the needle bar, to change your needle bar height, you want to loosen this screw, right? So normally as you loosen, you want to use one hand to hold the needle bar so that it doesn't fall. Okay, so with the other hand you want to loosen. Okay, a little more. Okay, so just slightly loosen. Now you can adjust either up or down, right? And the correct position is 3/4 of the eye of the needle should be showing up underneath the plate. So, for example, if your needle bar is here at the lowest position, you want to make it, if that's the full eye of the needle, you want to make it to where it's right there. That would be the correct position for your needle. You know, even you could go a little bit higher, just towards right above halfway on that needle. Okay, and then once you get it set to that point, you want to tighten that screw. And you want to tighten it pretty tight. So you want to make sure it's real tight. Okay. Once you tighten it, then you want to manually rotate your needle to the lowest position again to make sure, you can even go all the way around and then come all the way back down. And at the lowest position, where it's not going up or down, so right in there, if you go back down underneath, you should have about 3/4 of the eye of the needle showing. That's good. Then we move to the next position, which is our hook timing. So first, check this. Then we go to the needle to hook timing. Now we go to the next point, which is the needle to hook timing. So in order to check the needle to hook timing, you want to rotate the hand wheel. If you're at the machine now, you want to rotate the hand wheel in clockwise direction. So to the right. Right? So you want to rotate up on your needle until you start to see the eye of the needle come up on the needle. So right about there. You can get a little better angle. So you see there? Okay. So you can see the eye of the needle is coming up right there. And at that point, your hook, which is the part that's right behind it, should be passing next to your needle. That would be the correct adjustment for your hook. If it's not, then you need to adjust your hook. For example, if your needle or your hook is way back here and your needle's already at this position, then you need to move your hook forward. And if it's on this left side, if it's too far forward, then you need to bring it back towards the right. And your hook is this part here. That's the hook that's right behind the needle. So that part needs to be behind the needle as your eye of the needle starts to show, which is right there. Right? So as you start to see the eye of the needle, the hook should be passing behind the needle. In order to loosen your hook, real simple. On the shaft here, you have 1, 2, and 3 flathead screws. Normally you want to use a 3/16 tip on a flathead screwdriver with a pretty big handle on it so that you can loosen and tighten properly. Okay? So here's a video on how to loosen those. Okay? Now the first one you want to loosen all the way. So you want to loosen completely. Okay, the second one also you want to loosen. And the last one you want to loosen, but then you want to kind of snug it up just a little bit to where the hook is not moving. It's not rotating on the shaft. Because what we're going to do is you're going to manually grab the hook and move it to where it needs to go. So you just want it loose enough to where you can manually move it forward and back. Okay, just like that. All right, so now, if we go back to this position, where the eye of the needle, let me show you a little better. The eye of the needle is coming up, right? At that point, if we go back here, our hook is passing way too early. The eye of the needle doesn't start showing till about right there. So what we're gonna do here is you're simply gonna grab your hook, right? And you're gonna grab the hand wheel on the back side. So you're gonna grab the hand wheel, which is here, so that it doesn't move on the shaft, and then you're gonna use your other hand to grab the hook. Okay? And then you can grab your hook manually and you can move it forward or back. right? But currently, you know, at this position, your hook, you want to be right centered on the back of the needle, just like that, right? So you want it about right there. When you get it there, you want to slightly tighten one of the screws. Okay, so now, okay, so at this point, you want to rotate the needle again, and you want to check your needle hook timing, right? So you want to rotate it again clockwise, go down to the lowest position, and then when your needle eye starts to come up, at that point, that hook should be right behind your needle. And you got a little bit of tolerance there, so if you're, you know, slightly forward, slightly delayed, you should be okay. But the other most important thing is the distance between your needle and your hook, right? So, needle to hook distance, I will show you in this next video. If you want to turn this vertically like this, so you can see the side angle view. So now from the side angle view, the importance is here, right? So if you push onto your needle, push forward, there shouldn't be any deflection. But also, if you rotate the hand wheel on the machine forward and back, it shouldn't push your needle forward, right? So you want to make sure that your needle is pretty much right up on that arch of the needle, right? So you see there, it's moving in. If we bring that hook to where it's centered on the needle, it shouldn't move almost anything. It should roughly get about the thickness of a sheet of paper. If it does move, then with your shaft just somewhat snug, normally you'd use the back of a screwdriver, and you can tap it forward, right? Or if it's too far forward, use the screwdriver to tap on the front side. Slightly, very slightly, till you get it pretty much exact. At that point, before you tighten, you want to check it again. So you want to do another video, going all the way up, down, and then you want to check your needle timing, right? So in this case, we're going to check from the front side here, to give us a better angle. Okay, so needle comes down. Okay, lowest position, and when the hook starts coming up and it's right behind the needle, you should start to see that eye of that needle right there coming up. You see that? Right there. At that point, this is where the hook grabs your thread. If there's too much space between your needle and your hook, it's gonna skip stitches. Or if your hook is too far forward or too far back, you're gonna have skip stitches. So this is the concept of how the timing works. If that's all good, you want to tighten the 3 screws on the shaft of your hook, and then we want to put everything back on. So I'm gonna tighten up the screws, and then we'll do the next video. Once that's tight, then we can begin putting everything back on. Okay, so we're gonna put our plates back on. Part is the first plate you put on, which is this one. It should only go in one way, so you can't put it in the wrong direction. So for example, here, if we try to put on this way, you see the holes don't line up. So you want to make sure that you put it on the wrong way. I mean the right way. Sorry. So right there. And then the other important thing is you have a little bit of slack. So when you move left, right, forward, back, so you want to drop your needle and you want to center this plate on your needle before you tighten. This is very, very important. If you don't do this, you start to have broken thread, fraying thread. Okay, so once you have everything back on, you want a home position on the screen here. You want to make sure that your needle is straight, completely straight.